So what's up, everybody? It's me, True Star Screamer. And this is my, I guess you could say, booktube debut. That's right, we are actually not talking toys or action figures. I'm actually here to talk about a book. That's right. I actually read, I don't just do plastic. And honestly, because that it is not a toy-related thing, you're gonna get me. You're just getting Dave. And yeah, like I said, I actually am an avid reader. I have been reading, and we're going to be talking about the latest Dresden Files book by Jim Butcher, 12 Months. I have been a fan of this series since the early 2000s. I've read it all. I love Jim Butcher. I've read from all the Furies of Calderon. I have read the comics. I am a fan. Plain and simple. This has easily been my number one series since before I met my wife. I've had a longer relationship with Jim Butcher than I've had with my wife. Let's put it that way. And so the book came in on Tuesday, the 20th. And I'm notorious for devouring these books. But this time I spread it out. It actually took 3 days to read it as opposed to the all-nighter. And as always, it's bittersweet because it's going to be a number of years before the next one comes out. Hopefully not too long. But I wanted to give basically my impressions, my review of this book. We're going to break up to two areas. We're going to have the initial part of it, where just the initial talk, non-spoilery, and then we are going to go to, yes, my true opinions of the story with spoilers. And I will make sure to drop a big ol' spoiler tag when that happens. So, first thing I will say this. If you are new to the Dresden Files, this is not the book to pick up. This one is not friendly to new readers. There are some that are kind of jump on points. This is not the one. That's probably the first thing I would say. So if you are interested in the Dresden Files, I hate to say it, but you gotta go. I do recommend going back a bit. Of course, I always say start at the beginning. The books are a little rough, but Jim Butcher's writing style was building up then. The story itself moves. It's called 12 Months, and the whole story takes place in about a year. And yes, you get your beginning setup. We get new characters in, which is nice. Some very cool characters. If you read the previous book, it does take place a little bit later, and we are still dealing with the repercussions of the previous book. So again, I don't want to get into spoilers for those who haven't read it. I will say this does go through a very nice emotional journey for Harry Dresden, and this one is concentrating also with his history with the Winter Court, with the Fae. I enjoy that, and the White Court vampires are back, are very prominent in this. So that is some very neat things. It does take place with the repercussions of from the big battle of the previous book through the city of Chicago, how that's all going through. It's not my favorite of the books. I will also say that this is not. The last book was probably if not my second, or wasn't my second favorite book. It's at least the third. The last one was amazing. My favorite Dresden stories. I like the first one with the necromancers, where Butters was introduced. That's probably in some ways my favorite because that was probably one of the most Dresden-like things, or anything involving, or the one where they did the heist to Hades, which again, read the books. Anything involving the fallen angels was probably my favorite Dresden stuff. So this is not up there, but this is definitely going to be an essential book to it. So if you have not read this yet and you are a fan of the Dresden Files, easiest thing to say is you are going to need to read this one because this is going to be a linchpin book. This book is probably a very big transition novel where they're resetting certain aspects of it. Certain characters have been made more prominent. Some have been brought back. We're kind of reestablishing some of protagonists, antagonists, and basically the next book in the series is going to be the beginning of the major arc. So this is definitely a transition book. And that is my non-spoiler review. That being said, that's all you needed to know. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please hit that comment if you guys want me to do more of these booktube stuff. But if you notice, we got more time going on this video. So I'm going to put the big old spoiler warning right here. Because I have finished this book. So if you have finished this book, now is the time to really pay attention, because I want to give my opinions on it, which will be spoiler heavy. So don't say I didn't warn you. Things I absolutely loved about this book. This was absolutely dealing with Harry's grief with the loss of Karen. That was probably the hardest parts of the last book. I wanted to reread the last book, but I almost didn't want to deal with the part of her getting shot. And this book absolutely is dealing with Harry and his grief. I would say the grief is actually the true antagonist of the book for most of it. There's a lot of good language to this. Really, honestly, the very first opening lines really resonated with me. And I do want to read that again, because it's something that, honestly, everyone should think about. This is probably, I will say this is probably one of Jim Butcher's best written books. I will say that. You know, pain is fire. That's true for all people some of the time. If you've never had to stand in that fire, be patient. Your turn is coming. That resonated a whole lot. That was good, and then the ending was amazing. Where was it? Right here. I want to get back to it. When he was talking about happiness, I think that was a very, very good statement here. Does it? And this is, again, from the last part of the book. Happiness is peace in action, and peace is happiness at rest, and neither one has to be perfect to be real. Those are absolute statements, and I love it. If there's anything from these books, it's those opening and those near closing words. So that's probably the highlight of it all. That being said, for the overall meta plot of the whole Dresden Files world, stuff happened, but it wasn't the true whole lot of happening. The whole part of Dresden is engaged to Laura Wraith from the Winter Court, with Queen Maeve using him to get the to get the White Court basically addicted to Winter. That was cool. Wrapping up the loose ends with Thomas. And that happened. And that's probably the biggest thing. This was a whole lot of, let's tie up all the loose ends that we can. You know, we've got, his new home has been established. The gargoyles. Oh my gosh. Part of me, I was almost thinking he wrote a third of this book just to make the joke about the name being the Spice Goyles. So that's just, I really read that and I had to read that to my wife. Like I said, this is not, for me, I said my favorite books are still the ones involving the Fallen Angel coins. This book just really felt like, let's wrap things up and let's reset the next direction of the series. You know, things were mentioned that I missed. He mentioned Cowl at the very beginning. God, I want them to a resolution of that. They mentioned, and they brought the Summer Court back. I love how they brought Queen Maud's mother in, like Mother Winter. That was actually pretty damn cool. But there was also characters were almost brought in there for the sake of being brought in. Marcone wasn't actually in the book, but his Valkyrie made her presence known just to show that, hey, Marcone knows what's going on. The city of Chicago itself felt like a character. recovering from the great battle. And this is going to be essential reading for the Dresden world, obviously. I mean, obviously, if you're in the series, you're in it for all of it. It's just like this book just felt so like ball bearings. Like a lot of this book could almost been between other books, if that made sense. With the city healing, the battle at the end with the Black Court vampires with Dracul. Dracul himself didn't appear, but the fact that we're bringing in all those characters, it almost felt like it was thrown in there because, oh wait, we haven't had Dresden do a Dresden thing. And again, like I said, this book itself could have been between two books with the things that happened. And that's what Paynes felt this whole book was. It was I know it took place within a year. It was almost this could have been a series of novellas, except we needed a novel. And I didn't hate it. Some things I thought were really neat. I love seeing the wardens coming in. The new warden, Ileana. Something. She's either going to be... It's going to be one of those things that she's either going to be his new love interest or she's going to kill him or try to kill him. It's one of those things. I still miss, what's his name? His original warden who hated him. But Ileana, yeah, there's nothing likable about her. Very good job of bringing the characterization of Laura Wraith more. That was nice. And it was really cool also seeing the father of the White Court vampires, her father coming in. That was a very nice callback to some of the old books. And that's the thing about the whole Dresden Files. There is such a huge cast of characters. There is so much going on in this world that it's hard to keep track of it all. And this book was trying to check the boxes of, don't forget, we got this going on, we got this going on, we got this going on. And that's, we got the Black Court, we got Cal, the only thing we didn't mention was the Black Council, per se. But, and like I said, things were wrapped up. I did like the resolution with him making up with Ebenezer, with McCoy. I actually teared up a little at that. I thought that was really nice. So, again, it's a good book. It's a Jim Butcher book. It didn't feel like it was phoned in, per se, but it did not feel like it reset the board. I want to say, I'm not going to say pieces were moving. It was the opposite. We had our little end game, and it reset the chessboard for the direction of this series. So, I will say, if you guys are new here and you caught my channel just because of the Jim Butcher tags, awesome. Please welcome. If you want me to do further book reviews, please let me know. I am also actively reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. I do read a lot of military science fiction. I do read fantasy. I'm about to start Raymond Feast. Haven't read his stuff before, but I was told you gotta read it. If anything you think I should talk about, let me know down below. So, for the booktubers, thank you so much for letting me into your world. For you toy tubers who aren't getting into books, I do recommend the Dresden Files. Just so you know, other authors I like. I love Brandon Sanderson. I love Brent Weeks. And so if you want me to talk about that stuff, we can start something on here. But thank you again so much. And as always, until next time, my friends, take care. Peace.